It's Tuesday night, and you know what that means. Jersey First proudly brings you a special Tuesday night edition of Real Talk. And I am New Jersey's premier award winning journalist, top 100 Latino, via the Latino Spirit Online magazine for 2020 and 2021, and now top 50 Latino for 2022. Certainly the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, and without a doubt, the people's choice and the people's voice. Yes, it's me, Fernando Uribe. Once again, folks, happy Tuesday to you all. Hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Again, it's important to remember why we have a 3-day weekend to honor all those brave men and women who have sacrificed their lives going back to the American Revolution, folks, to give us all the freedoms that we have today. I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so via Facebook Live on StreamYard, as well as on Jersey First TV's YouTube channel, and also on LinkedIn. Speaking of social media, folks, please make sure that you check out all of our social media platforms. Make sure you like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on Facebook. Of course, follow Jersey First on YouTube. Don't forget to like them, and of course, follow them on Instagram and Twitter, as well as my own Instagram and Twitter at the Fernando Zone. And without a doubt, folks, wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud, take Jersey First with you wherever and whenever you go out during these summer months, whether you're walking your dog, maybe getting in shape for the summer, you know what I'm saying, getting off those little winter pounds, whether it's Tiki Mondays down the shore, going to AC, going to the Hamptons and Montauk, wherever it is you're going, folks, and whatever it is you're doing, take Jersey First with you anywhere at any time. Again, download from any PC, Mac, smartphone, or a tablet. And folks, I cannot tell you enough how proud I am to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. Yes, folks, it's Jersey First TV. Brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative, hosted by the amazing Elizabeth Nader, take place every Thursday, once again on jerseyfirst.org/TV. Again, ladies and gentlemen, new episodes of the Nader Narrative, hosted by the amazing Elizabeth Nader, air every Thursday, as well as new episodes of Bridging the Gap, hosted by AJ Malilo and Stephen Rombolo. Folks, young conservatives, very intellectual. You'll enjoy their programming. And of course, every Monday night, in its regularly scheduled time, of course, you can check out brand new episodes live of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe. Certainly did not have a show yesterday. I wanted to relax a little bit, obviously, during Memorial Day, let everyone enjoy themselves as well and relax as we enter the month of June, folks. Again, a lot to talk about here in New Jersey politics, and without a doubt, I'll be doing that here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Folks, primary day is a week from today, as a matter of fact, and obviously a lot of important races, not just legislative seats in all 40 legislative districts in the state of New Jersey, but also, folks, we have primaries and mayoral races, and certainly committee races, county committee races for both Republicans and Democrats. And also we have commissioner races in various counties throughout the state of New Jersey. Again, if you're not familiar, folks, commissioners really is just the new name for what we used to know as county freeholders. And without a doubt, there are plenty of interesting races here in Hudson County, for example, where I live. Obviously, we got progressives going against sort of blue-collar Democrat. That's always nice to watch from a distance. But in more red areas of the state, again, and folks, as you can see, I'm rocking the red here. And by the way, I don't want to forget mentioning this on the air. As you can see right behind me, I'm rocking and representing the colors, obviously, of the 2023 Eastern Conference champions, my Miami Heat. Yes, folks, I kind of rock Miami Heat, attire once in a while. Big Miami Heat fan for a certain amount of time. Got plenty of friends down in South Florida, the great state, the great freedom-loving state of Florida, no less, ladies and gentlemen. So shout out to all my good people down in Miami and in South Florida celebrating the 2023 Eastern Conference Championship for the Miami Heat and also for the Florida Panthers, both South Florida teams in their respective finals this June. So I want to rock that red and represent the Miami Heat here on this Championship Tuesday, folks, as the NBA Finals begin coming up on Thursday night on ABC. But getting back to politics, as I mentioned before, we got tons of very interesting races. And one specific race that caught my eye, ladies and gentlemen, is all the way out in Sussex County. I know for me, that's a bit of a hike, but not for many others. It's a very interesting race. County commissioners, folks, and we have a very, very, very I would say, engaging candidate running in the Republican primary in Sussex County for a county commissioner. Folks, he's a fan of the show, and he's a fellow conservative. Folks, Nicholas D'Agostino joins me tonight on Real Talk. Nicholas, how are you?
I'm good, Fernando. It's good to be here. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it, and hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, obviously, let's remember why we celebrate Memorial Day. It's not just some 3-day weekend to have a barbecue and go get drunk. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. I had just posted yesterday. It's a frustrating time because so many of our freedoms are being taken away that our military has fought for, and they paid the ultimate sacrifice. And the least we could do is uphold the freedoms that we have in the Constitution and the freedoms that we were given by God, and not let their sacrifice go to waste.
Well said, Nicholas. Well said. Folks, again, if you're just doing it right now, it's 6:07 on the East Coast. Sharing is caring. Click that share button, whether it's on the Fernando Uribe page, the viral Patriot page, or Real Talk with Fernando Uribe, and make sure it gets on your newsfeed ASAP. Nicholas, for our audience tonight, as I mentioned, obviously, primary day is exactly 1 week from now. Obviously, polls will be close to closing a week from today. And we have a lot of interesting primary races, mayoral race, for example, down in Roselle in Union County, candidate I interviewed last week. We have all 40 legislative districts with some primaries in both Republicans and Democratic races collectively. Obviously, here in Hudson County, commissioner races are also up for grabs. But in Sussex County, it's getting a little feisty. It's getting a little fickle. So first of all, if you want to let our audience know exactly what is the role of a county commissioner, aka former freeholder, as they say, and why are you interested in joining the race?
So I advise you not to say freeholder too often, Fernando, because apparently it's racist now, just like everything else in the world. But it's a position where we oversee county programs, the Division of Social Services, the county road department, the sheriff department, and we kind of are a liaison between these programs and the community. Sussex County, I believe, is the bedrock of conservatism in New Jersey. And I know that South Jersey says they're more conservative, but I have yet to see a more intelligent, well-rounded group of voters, conservative voters, than I have in Sussex County. And so the Sussex County freeholder, wow, now I'm doing it, commissioner position is very important because it's sort of the bench, if you will. A lot of these assemblymen, assemblywomen, senators, they start as commissioners. And so while roads and bridges are extremely important and our infrastructure is extremely important, I like to tell people that we need strong, true, principled conservatives in that position, because otherwise our values are going to collapse. And so I have experience on the Board of Education for the last 7 years, the last 5 as the president, dealing with infrastructure and budgets and policies and negotiations and all of those things that are extremely important. But I think that we are in a fight, good versus evil, and we need to have the strongest possible fighters in office, and I believe I am that person in this race.
Well, Nicholas, let's get into that a little bit, because as we know, obviously, primary day is a week away, and one of the biggest talking points I think that goes on during every election season, especially when it comes to races like this one, because it happens a lot in Hudson County, it's a talking point. We know there's litigation right now pending in Trenton, I believe, and at the end of the day, it's sort of like that ugly word, that two-letter word, that those two words in New Jersey politics, I think, that get people very riled up, both on the Republican side and the Democrat side, where it's about the line. And, if you're fortunate to be on the line, a lot of candidates look at that as an advantage, while others say, well, I'm going to have to work twice as hard to get attention to my campaign, to my candidacy. Why is it, again, people I talk to on the ground, my sources, being a broadcast journalist, obviously I try to get them as much as I can. It seems to me that in Sussex County, things are getting very fickle. very feisty and chippy during this election season when, again, if we're talking about sort of the bedrock of conservatism, right, in North Jersey, by and large, as you mentioned, that is Sussex County. We look at candidates and some good candidates are being pushed off the line. Why do you think that is? Is that more, I mean, I don't want to take a shot at the Sussex County Republican Party, but where's this coming from, Nicholas?
Yeah, so as you know, there is no official line in Sussex County, which I think is part of the reason there is such a hotly contested competition in the Sussex County Commissioner race. There's a hotly contested competition in the District 24 race for Assembly. And of course, we have Parker Space running uncontested for Senate. I think that, obviously we have 3 sort of vacancies in D24. So a lot of people are interested in filling those roles.
Sure.
A lot of it, I thought what you were going to say is, who's a rhino, who's conservative. It's always a battle of who's more conservative. I get mailers from one ticket saying this person's a liberal, and then I get mailers from the other ticket saying that team's a liberal. And so it's very hard to decipher, if you're not sort of on the, knowledge base of being involved in politics. I think that, the main thing I would say why there's so much fighting in Sussex County is because Democrats never win here. And so if you think about it, whoever wins the primary is going to win the seat. And the fight we have to have is in the primary, because once you win that, it's pretty much over, and it's a good problem to have, I think. And, we need to elect strong conservatives, I believe, like myself, in order to keep Sussex County that way and not make it so that general elections are up for grabs with the Democrats.
Sure. I mean, listen, we've seen the progress and inroads that they've made, let's say in nearby Morris County, for example, right? Where just like Sussex, I mean, Morris was about as red as my jacket. That's changed. Other counties nearby, also more reliable red counties, have also, I wouldn't say flipped necessarily, but some districts have, some municipalities have. It doesn't appear to be that Sussex County is undergoing that sort of epidemic, as they say. But to your point about what type of Republican is running in this race right now, obviously we talked about LD24, how that is, obviously, let's be honest, that's really dominated the headlines, I think, in North Jersey, not just about those assembly seats, the state Senate seat, also school board conversations, as well as what's going on with, parents going to Board of Ed meetings, voicing their displeasure. And I do want to get your thoughts on that in a moment, but I want to sort of focus on your race here. What makes you really stand out from the other candidates right now on the ballot? I mean, what do you want to accomplish should you win the primary next Tuesday, go on to win the general election in November? As you mentioned, there's a good chance you can do that if you win the primary. What do you want to focus on in Sussex County, again, as a county commissioner, that you feel right now is being disregarded or not really addressed?
Sure. So, I look at, there's 3 candidates in the race, myself, the incumbent Herb Yardley, and there's a newcomer, Jack DeGroot. Both of them are nice men. I know them both personally. I kind of look at myself as a balance between the two of them, right? I like to say bald and beautiful like Herb Yardley, and I'm tall and handsome like Jack DeGroot. But I think that Herb has been in office for 4 decades. He's outspoken on the budget and such, but I don't know where he stands on, the issue of life, the Second Amendment, what's going on in the schools. And though those things are not governed on the county level, I maintain that it's super important to have people where they stand, right? And he said that he passed a policy that would allow no new debt unless the voters say so. He just voted to pass $6.3 million in debt in bonds, and we had no say about it. My other opponent, I think, may have graduated from college at this point. It may be next week. A sharp kid, just registered as a Republican on January 12th, 2023, a few days before he decided to run for office. He voted once in his life in 2020. And if you look at his Twitter account, he was against Donald Trump in 2016. He rooted for Hillary Clinton. He supported the BLM riots in the summer of 2020. And he has tweets on there that he liked saying, let's turn the reddest county in Sussex County, let's change it, let's turn it blue. So that's not the type of individual that I want representing our conservative values in Sussex County.
Sure.
Again, but I am a proven conservative. I have fought for our values in office on the school board for 7 years. I'm still only 33 years old, even though I'm balding and have gray in my beard. And I think I'm kind of a good mix between both extremes there with those two candidates.
Fair enough, Nicholas. And folks, if you're just joining us right now, it's 6:17 here on the East Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, sharing is caring. Click that share button because my guest tonight is Sussex County Commissioner candidate Nicholas D'Agostino. Join us here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Nicholas, let me ask you this because I know you talked about it. I know you just mentioned it about sort of, again, the premise of who's more conservative and certain conservative values and whether it's reflective, in this race. I have to sort of ask you because, I talk about this with a lot of legislative candidates that I have been interviewing throughout this entire primary season. I'll continue interviewing them well into the summer, into the fall. For someone like me, who's a pretty conservative guy, especially fiscally, when it comes to social issues, it really depends, but I tend to lean conservative anyway. I mean, is this commissioner race pretty much along the lines where, like, I say it all the time. I'm like, hey, listen, I don't care about pronouns. I care about property taxes. That's what matters to me. None of the woke nonsense, none of this social justice silliness. Like, I care about, like, kitchen table issues. Because at the end of the day, whether it's the unaffordability of New Jersey due to the emperor and obviously leadership there in Trenton, whether it's the state Senate president, whether it's the new one or the old one, the current assembly speaker, like, it's those far left bureaucrats in Trenton that are making New Jersey unaffordable. At a local level, what's the message you want to convey to voters, again, a week from today on primary day, where, listen, I'm a staunch Second Amendment advocate. My NRA stickers are everywhere, whether it's on my MacBook, whether it's, I have an ID card, whatever. I have certain social issues I believe in as a conservative, but at the local level for a race like this, is that really what candidates should be focusing in on? Or more, for example, infrastructure, Board of Ed issues, funding for roads, for example?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think all of it is important. And again, as far as taxes, $6.3 million, the incumbent just added to our debt. There's no experience from Mr. DeGroot. On the school board, my first year on the school board, we had the largest tax cut in the history of the school district. This was before, like you're saying, the state gets involved. Governor Murphy starts cutting state aid, especially from conservative areas and conservative school districts. I have experience on the school board, too, of consolidating administrative roles, which I would like to look into on the county level.
Sure.
We save about $300,000 per year for our taxpayers in Sussex Onage by combining the positions of superintendent and principal, and then vice principal and curriculum director. We are currently sharing our superintendent with another district, and are actually going to look into sharing him with more districts, because the amount of money that goes into administration, especially, is crazy in the public sector. But I think you're right. I think ratables are important. I think taxes are important. But I also think it's important to have somebody that will stick up for you when people are coming to the meetings and saying, I want the pride flag flown. They're having drag shows in our local businesses establishments. They hosted the Sussex County Democrats a row show raising money for Planned Parenthood in Sussex County to celebrate abortion.
I mean, Nicholas, I'll let you finish. I'm sorry, but it's funny to me to hear an organization like Planned Parenthood, a bunch of insufferable cat ladies, as if they don't have enough money already. as if they're not getting subsidized by Trenton. I mean, that's what's laughable to me about organizations like Planned Parenthood and all these other organizations that are crying poverty. When you look at them walking around with like Louis Vuitton bags, Gucci clothes, and they're still crying poverty, and they're trying to convince municipalities and the Democratic Party, I guess, locally to host fundraisers. Like, who are you kidding with this nonsense? I mean, it drives me crazy. I'm sorry, I'll let you finish. I'm sorry.
Right. So, yes, and to your point, the Sussex County Democrats are increasingly becoming progressive. They're becoming radical left, and they do not like me. And that's one of the main points I want to drive home here is, people keep joking and asking, did I pay for this endorsement? Because the Democrats continue to write about me and continue to say, please, Republican voters, anybody but Nick DiAgostino, because they know not only will I work on lowering taxes, not only will I do the sort of the bread and butter job of the Sussex County Commissioner, I will also stand up for our values in Sussex County, our conservative values, the nuclear family, and I will make sure that they do not feel that they are welcome to do that sort of stuff in Sussex County, because we don't believe in that here. And, so when the Democrats are telling you as a Republican not to do something, not to vote for DiAgostino, I would say that's probably a good indicator that you should.
That's a fair point. Folks, it's 6:21 here on the East Coast. If you're just joining us live right now on Jersey First TV, my guest tonight is Sussex County Commissioner candidate Nicholas DiAgostino, joining us here on Real Talk. By the way, Nicholas, shout out to one of your campaign handlers, and I'll apologize to her now if I botch her name, Alexandra Lazorajik. I'm not sure if I said it correctly.
Lazorajik, yes.
There you go. Wow. Okay, I got it. All right. Wow. All right, Alexandra, shout out to you. And I'm glad I didn't botch your name because I know my name gets botched all the time. So shout out to you and your great campaign staff for certainly helping make today's interview happen. Folks, again, click the share button. Takes 2 seconds. Sharing is caring. And you'll be able to have Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on your newsfeed as we speak live here with Nicholas DiAgostino. Nicholas, let me pick your brain for a second. I know over the weekend, and it's the subject of what I'm going to talk about during my final thoughts here later on in the broadcast. It seems like Board of Education meetings are on the radar of everybody. And it would seem that, we have some left-wing journalists, well, propagandists, more so from certain news sites that pretend to be, news sites, and they're more propaganda machines. And it seems like, whether it's in Roxbury, New Jersey, or in other school districts, parents are up in arms. Now, let's be intellectually honest here. I have a certain dog in this fight. I don't have any kids that I know of. And I know many parents that watch this show and agree with me and say, Fernando, thank God you're the only journalist speaking up for parents in New Jersey. I would say also Matt Rooney is down in South Jersey with what he does. But I would say that between him and I, there's really nobody else. And let's be intellectually honest here. At the core of the matter, do parents that are going to Board of Ed meetings have a real reason to object to what's going on with books, with content? We all know about curriculum. We all know what's going on with curriculum, right? We all know what Governor Murphy and sort of the woke leftists in the leadership, not every Democrat, because let me be fair. I live in Hudson County in LD 33, and I know that my mayor is also my state senator. He's a blue-collar, working-class Democrat. He's not this far-left, woke activist that A, failed biology, B, never took an economics course, C, is a climate hysterical. He's none of those things, okay? My legislator, my state senator is sort of a middle-of-the-road, blue-collar Democrat, but those are not the ones shaping policy in Trenton, whether it's the sex ed curriculum or other things. What's going on at Board of Ed meetings, Nicholas, where parents are objecting to books? Is it parents being homophobes? Is it parents trying to shelter their kids? Is it parents saying, hey, you know what? We want to live in our echo chamber and we really don't want to expose kids to gay people or lesbians or trans people? Let's separate fact from fiction. Can you help me do that?
Absolutely. So parents are parents. Teachers are teachers. And the partnership is supposed to work hand in hand. But lately, public school districts, many teachers, many administrators, and unfortunately many school boards in our state think that they are their children and that parents don't have a right to know what's going on. There is even a law that says if an 8-year-old says I'm transgender to his teacher, that the teacher is not allowed to tell the parent if the kid doesn't want them to. I think it's ludicrous. I think that parents certainly have a right and should go to board meetings, should complain. We have been fighting tooth and nail at Sussex Wantage for parental rights. I would go as far as to say that we are setting the way for parental rights as far as conservative school boards in New Jersey. When I became president, we had a 5-4 liberal board. Now it's 9-0 conservative, and we passed.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear.
Yeah, we passed a resolution and sent it to Governor Murphy against the forcible masking of children. We had a resolution against the sex ed standards, and we found a way to stay within the law, but also keep the rights of the parents to teach sensitive subjects where it's not going to be taught in school. We are against the sick and twisted agenda that the Democrats are pushing. We passed a resolution against forcing extracurricular activities to mandate students be vaccinated for COVID, which was another suggestion by Governor Murphy just a little over a year ago. Parents have the right, and I'd like to take an opportunity to shout out the 2 Sussex County candidates, both on different tickets, but both had great points regarding this. Josh Akins, running for a said, if you took this material and you showed it to someone on the street, a child, you would get arrested for distributing pornography to a child.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Great point. And then Dawn Fantasia said at one of her commissioner meetings that basically when you go on a computer and you try to search pornography at a school, there is a firewall that's technology, a firewall that stops you from accessing that website. However, there should also be a human firewall that stops you from accessing that material in the library, in your classroom. And the human aspect has failed us greatly. It's perverse, it's disgusting, and I can't even say the things that I think should happen to people who support that for children on your show, or we'll both probably get shut down, Fernando. But
it's possible. I mean, to your point, I interviewed Josh Akins a few weeks back. Great candidate. I'm pulling for him. We'll see what happens next Tuesday during the primary. But to your point, though, Nicholas, I mean, again, I say this all the time to people that comment on this show, on this page, or write to Jersey First and say, well, Fernando Uribe is a bigot. Fernando is a blankist. He's a blankphobe. I mean, I laugh because when you're a leftist, when you don't like something, the automatic card to play is, well, Fernando is a blankphobe. And no, I'm not a blankphobe. I'm not a homophobe. I'm not a transphobe. I'm not an Islamophobe, a xenophobe. I'm not a sexist or none of those things. But it just seems like leftists salivate at the mouth. It's like it's like they see like a stack of hotcakes when they want to just throw that word out there against conservatives. And it's pretty annoying already because you don't have a leg to stand on ideologically. And I think that we're seeing that now unravel, right? At Board of Ed meetings, we're seeing it now on social media, especially in other legislative races, which brings me to my next point here, because again, it's a Republican primary. And Nicholas, I've had a lot to say about the NJGOP, and I'm not auditioning for a job. I don't need one from them, so I'm good. But what bothers me about the NJGOP, and especially in a year like this year, where at the state level, we have, conservatives, Republicans have a chance to flip a lot of districts red in Central and South Jersey, and especially in areas up in North Jersey to keep them red. I don't think the NJGOP is working hard enough to help real conservative candidates. And it bothers me. And I know it bothers people, at the NJGOP. I don't really care. I mean, I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to say whatever the hell I want to say. No one's going to cancel me. However, it bothers me as a conservative where Republicans are always behind the 8 ball in New Jersey. And in a race like yours, are you getting any support from anybody at the NJGOP, or are they staying out of this race specifically because it's a primary?
I am not getting any support from anybody in the NJGOP. I imagine they probably are staying out of it because it's a primary. I know officially even my local GOP in Sussex County stays out of the races in the primary, and sort of supports the winning candidate in the general election. I do think, in the NJ GOP, in the Sussex GOP, in the RNC, there should be and needs to be an infusion of energy, an infusion of youth. I think that the Democrats are evolving, and they are sort of mastering the times, if you will, and we're sort of trying to win elections with old tricks. And so I think that candidacies like mine, like other young candidates that are willing to step up and run for public office are important, because we usher in a new generation of conservatives, and quite frankly, ones that were battling with Hollywood and the media. And not to throw Taylor Swift under the bus on your show, and I'm sorry if you're a fan, but our economy is in crisis. Our country is in crisis.
Right.
We're on the brink of World War III under Joe Biden, and the majority of posts I see are, I got to go to the Taylor Swift New Eras tour concert, and I spent, I got 3 jobs so I could afford to go, and that's nice. But I think a lot of people are sort of in the dark and apathetic. And I tell people everywhere I go, apathy is what's going to destroy our republic. And so, though I respect the NJ GOP and the Sussex GOP, I do think we need to try something different if we're gonna really make any progress here.
Well, in fairness, I mean, to your point about Taylor Swift, I mean, listen, I take her home and I'd make sure to send her home in a Lyft or Uber the next morning, but not the girl I'd bring home to my mom and dad. That's for sure.
You're a Swiftie, huh, Fernando?
No, listen, I don't mind listening to her music. I mean, she's nice to look at, and I wouldn't mind taking her home. But believe me, the last girl I think I'd want to have meet my mom and dad for sure. And I'll leave it at that. So, I mean, I'm sure that comment will get me in trouble, but I don't really care. But Nicholas, before I let you go, obviously, and you've been a gentleman to come on tonight. I know you've had a long day, obviously, a week to go in the primary. Once again, shout out to your campaign team again, Alexandra Lazarchik. Again, if I mispronounce Alexandra, my apologies. I try my best.
Yeah, Alexandra Lazarchik and Liam Gavin is my campaign manager, and both of them are very young. They're in their early 20s.
Sure.
They have been working so hard to win this race, and I'm so grateful for everything that they're doing, and it gives me hope, and my wife Brila hope, who has done a lot for me, obviously, and for this campaign, to see young people like Alexandra and Liam sharing our values, and not only sharing them, but going fighting for them, even if it's not popular. So it's awesome.
Shout out to Liam and Alexandra again. Thank you for helping make this episode possible today. Nicholas, before I let you go, again, you've been a gentleman. I know you've had a long week to go, obviously, weeks now. You've been campaigning, obviously. It's sort of, the home stretch, as they say. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here this evening. And, of course, you're a candidate that's very inspiring, that's well-read, that has a pulse about the issues in this race and right now what's going on in our political climate in New Jersey. So I want to thank you for taking the time to come on here this evening. I take it you are a fan of the show, so I'm grateful for that. And certainly I want to wish you the best of luck coming up on 1 week from today, Tuesday, June 6th. Folks, you're in good hands. If you're pressing that button on the ballot box and you are selecting Nicholas D'Agostino, I think certainly a conservative I think you can all rely on and be proud of in this sort of very highly volatile political season in 2023. So I do want to thank you for your time, though, Nicholas. I'll give you the last word here on Real Talk.
Absolutely, Fernando. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I certainly am a big fan. I don't get starstruck much, but when you popped up on the screen before we got on, I was like, this is really cool. I'm on Fernando's show finally after all this time. So again, thank you for having me. This is an extremely important election. It's probably going to be low turnout, unfortunately, but I hope it's not. I hope a lot of people show up to the polls. I hope you you give your voice, and you, across the board, you elect people that align with your values. And I think we are seeing a lot of people like myself that are just tired of the status quo and tired of just going along to get along. And we want to fight for you. I want to fight for you. I will stick up for our values. I will fight for our taxes and lower them. I will fight for our employees in Sussex County and make sure the morale is high. And I will make sure, and this is something that I said, I'm the only candidate in this race that the Democrats are attacking. And that's because I'm the only candidate that the Democrats are afraid of. And I said it online. I will say it here. If you vote for me, I will make sure that they never win again in Sussex County. So God bless you, Fernando. God bless all of your listeners. Keep up the great fight, the great work. And, I look forward to hopefully celebrating a victory here. Most importantly, not for myself, but for the people of Sussex County.
Folks, next Tuesday, June the 6th, polls open at 6 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m. You have choices in Sussex County. A good choice is my guest tonight, Nicholas D'Agostino, running for Sussex County Commissioner. Join us here live on Real Talk on a special Tuesday edition on Jersey First TV. Nicholas, God bless you, man. Best of luck to you a week from today, and we'll talk to you again soon here on Jersey First TV.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Folks, good episode there with Nicholas D'Agostino, Sussex County candidate for commissioner, coming up a week from now. Again, on primary day, we're going to be very, very busy. As I just mentioned, polls open at 6 a.m. next Tuesday, and they do close at 8 p.m. So, hey, listen, folks, have your voice heard. There are choices on the ballot. It's up to you to make it happen for the candidate of your choice coming up next Tuesday, June the 6th, on primary day throughout the state of New Jersey. Folks, before we call it a night, some final thoughts here. And as you know, I like to browse the news feed in the New Jersey media echo chamber, and I will come across some articles that I like to read, and certainly some columnists that are very informative, and some columnists that are not so informative, and quite frankly, just sort of insufferable to deal with and agonizing to endure when it comes to the media echo chamber here in the state of New Jersey. And of course, folks, when we talk about insufferable journalism and news sites masquerading as journalism, because it's not journalism anymore, it's full-blown propaganda. And when I think about who's masquerading as journalists, well, folks, I mean, let's be fair. Nobody does it better than Insider NJ. And people keep texting me every week and say, Fern, I love your monologues, man. I love the way you stick it to Insider NJ and NJ Spotlight News and the Star Ledger and NorthJersey.com and NJ.com. We love the way you stick it to them. We love the way you cook them like a Thanksgiving turkey. Well, folks, it would be easy, or I would say, actually, let me rephrase that. You know what? If they didn't make it so easy for me, I'd actually probably have to do a little bit of work and maybe break a sweat when I decide to do my monologues every week, but I don't have to. I can do these monologues in my sleep because they make it so easy for me. And folks, when we talk about, again, and we're 2 days away from Pride Month, and 30 of the part of the more insufferable days we're going to have to endure in not just New Jersey politics, but nationally, okay, is going to be Pride Month. And let me preface this by saying, because I'm sure people are going to take it the wrong way and say, oh, Fernando's being a homophobe and Fernando's being a trans. No, I'm not being any of those things. What I'm being is someone that is a regular taxpayer and citizen, homeowner, who, yes, I can all be about inclusivity and tolerance and diversity without it being overdone, folks. And that's what happens during Pride Month, okay? But more on that later. But one of the things that really, I think, kind of gets me going about the blatant negligence when it comes to journalism, or the blatant disregard for truth, for accuracy, for credibility, for integrity in journalism, I look at Insider NJ, and of course, folks, listen, let's be very fair about something. And I've talked about it consistently because I have the receipts for it. But is there a more insufferable news site run by a more insufferable person? And I get it that Pete O'Nelia is more concerned with collecting advertising dollars for some of the most insufferable organizations in the state, whether it be Planned Parenthood, and we all know that what they are, folks. It's a bunch of insufferable feminists and cat ladies that stink of cat piss, okay, that go on social media, that go on with a bullhorn, that go to rallies and bitch and moan about how bad they have it. You got to love it, folks. These suburban women in Bergen County, right, with a net household income of probably over $150,000, bitch and moan how tough they have it in today's political climate, and especially in New Jersey, right? Or whether it's the NJEA at a state level, where the mayor of Montclair, New Jersey, is also the president of the NJEA. Tell me how that isn't a conflict of interest, right? Where you have these just insufferable organizations who very easily just, give out money to Insider NJ. Of course, Peter Nelly would just sit there, hamina. Oh, the bank account's growing. So what do I care? I'll just take money from whoever for advertising dollars. No, Pete, that's called whoring yourself out for advertising. And I would think that the Graham family would sit you down along with Max and say, I think we need to sort of change the mission statement here. I already read the mission statement about Insider NJ, where it's a blatant lie to us in terms of being accurate in reporting. Who are we kidding? But what's really interesting, though, is that especially with Pride Month coming up in just 48 hours, we'll have to endure the Pride Power List, right? And all the other, I guess, enabling of the LGBTQ plus minus whatever community, okay, when it comes to what are the biggest talking points in this election season. And of course, over the weekend, it was brought to my attention as I'm reading throughout all the news feeds, right? And I'm looking at all the news wires, obviously. We had to endure yet another column from the resident virtue signaler at Insider NJ. Yes, you all know who he is, folks. Jay Lassiter. Again, a fellow Taurus there. And if I didn't say it enough last week, again, I know he celebrated a birthday recently. Happy 75th birthday, Jay. Big milestone getting to 75, as we all know. Not everybody gets to 75. You happen to do so. So God bless you, as they say. Congratulations. But Jay, I have to call you out on some nonsense here. And your latest, I can't even call it a column. Okay. I'm going to call it a full-blown propaganda manifesto here. Talk about culture wars flare on school boards over trans issues and book bans. So Jay decides to write about a recent Board of Education meeting in Roxbury, New Jersey, where it was another opportunity for foaming at the mouth right-wingers to ban books and throw LGBT kids under the bus. That's not true, Jay. No one's doing that. But you see, folks, this is where Jay Lassiter reminds me a lot about why the left is so insufferable in New Jersey, right? And it reminds me about why someone like Jay Lassiter loves to throw out the little comments about right-wingers and all that, everything else. Here's something that I want to educate Jay on, as well as his little minions. We all know who they are, okay? The little lollipop guild that enables him online, all right? A bunch of insufferable women. We all know who they are. If I was in a bad mood, I would just name them all, but it's too long, and I don't want to take up too much time on the show with it, right? But the problem is with people like Jay Lash and those on the left, whether it's the LGBT community or just regular leftists, is that, and you know what? Since a lot of you failed some basic courses in high school, like biology, we all know, economics, right? And probably other science courses. Well, here's Professor Uribe giving you a chemistry course right now, okay? Another natural science course, okay? And it's funny because when I think about the melting points, folks, about certain elements, I look at the periodic table, right? So, for example, when we look at gold as a substance, right, we look at its melting point of 1,948 degrees. When we look at titanium, we look at a melting point of 3,034 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, same with gold. For example, when we look at tungsten, the melting point of tungsten is 6,177 degrees Fahrenheit. But, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to meltdowns by the Alphabet Army, by the Pronoun Patrol, okay? When we think about what's the melting point for them, very simple. Anybody who disagrees with them, okay? And that's why the meme online is funny. Because while the melting point for those elements is really, really high, it seems like the melting point for someone like Jay Lassiter and the LGBTQ plus minus 1, 2, 3, ABC, whatever, doesn't take much. So, of course, let me go on with this blatant, dishonest propaganda here. If you're curious about what the Republican Party stands for in New Jersey and nationally, consider this. We're entering the third month of a collective GOP meltdown because a beer company puts a transgender person in a commercial. No, Jay, again, I don't care for Bud Light. I don't drink it. It's water. But what you're basically endorsing is a man with a mental illness pretending to be a woman. And somehow Bud Light thinks this is going to encourage men to want to buy beer. Okay? It's not a meltdown, Jay. We all know about meltdowns. You have them all the time when someone blatantly disagrees with you. Okay? But it's not a meltdown by conservatives like myself or others. It's because it's basically lying to us. A man with a mental illness is masquerading as a woman. And somehow that's going to encourage straight men like me to buy beer? I don't think so. And I don't think me objecting to that or Matt Rooney or other conservatives in New Jersey, whether it's us objecting to it, that doesn't make us bad people. We're just bringing to light that this is a guy with a mental illness. Again, if you had the integrity, which we all know you don't, you call it out too. So, of course, he goes on to say everything that displeases conservatives is woke. No, that's not true, Jay. And everyone that they don't like is a groomer. And oh, by the way, Phil Murphy is a pedophile, according to, I guess, some quotes he decides to reference in the article, because he doesn't hate LGBT people. Incessant right-wing whining about, quote, cancel culture, while simultaneously striving to cancel anything they don't like, is proof that most GOP accusations are actually confessions. Another school shooting is never a big deal in right-wing circles, but a drag queen reading Dr. Seuss to kids, ? Well, that's where the pitchforks really come out. No, Jay, again, you want to talk about school shootings, I understand where they are happening, but the majority, again, this is where Jay needs to put down the bong, okay? And I get it, like you don't have a lot to do all day, right? You're living off your boyfriend's paycheck. You're sitting at home writing a column every so often, getting paid for pretty much promulgating propaganda, okay? If you did just a little bit of basic research, Jay, you would know that the majority of gun violence in this country is committed with handguns. And they're committed in parts of the country with the strictest of gun control laws. But here you are bitching and moaning about AR-15s. Yes, school shootings are a problem. And yes, that's a separate issue, whether it's about mental health or anything else. But the majority of gun violence in this country, Jay Lassiter, is committed with handguns in urban areas, in blue cities and blue states. Okay? Here in New Jersey, whether it's dumps like Newark and Patterson and Trenton and nearby Philadelphia, where you live near, okay, or in Chicago or in Los Angeles or in blue parts of the country, the majority of gun violence is committed with handguns. Don't take my word for it. Use something called Google and look it up. The FBI data is there. Since you like to quote data all the time, get off your ass and look up some data, bro. Okay? And thanks to GOP priorities, classroom censorship of books is on the rise nationally. No, it's not, Jay. Stop misconstruing what's going on. New Jersey is no exception, as school districts around the state actively work to eliminate any evidence of the existence of gay people and especially transgender people from the curriculum, from the light. That's not true, Jay. Okay, for as long as I can remember. And again, I know you're much older than I am because you're in your 70s, right? I'm in my 40s, but I remember growing up what my curriculum was, and we did learn about gay people. Okay, we did learn about that stuff. We learned about that community. Okay, stop making it seem like Republicans in New Jersey, where again they're the minority in the legislature, or they're in the minority in the Senate nationally, right, in Congress. Okay, no one's saying that we want to eliminate history of gay people. Okay, there are majors on college campuses around this country called LGBT studies, where someone is going to waste $250,000 to take out loans to major in something that, quite frankly, they could go to Barnes and Nobles over a weekend and learn about it, just like other useless majors like women's studies and gender studies and Caribbean studies. LGBT studies is no different. You can learn about it over the weekend. Okay, you don't need to spend $250,000 in loans at a college or university to learn about it, quite frankly. Okay. Now, the epicenter of New Jersey's culture wars might be Morris County, home of an especially caustic and unconstructive GOP primary, where rival candidates neglect issues like property taxes in their heated rush to dehumanize gay people. That's not true. I just talked to a candidate tonight, Jay, running for county commissioner. I talked to Josh Akins, a good, strong, intellectually honest conservative running for state assembly in that area. No one's looking to dehumanize gay people, Jay. What you want is people like you and everybody else to be put on a pedestal. You don't deserve it, number one. And number two, you're regular people. Okay? If you don't want to be treated differently, then don't want to be different. Okay? See what I'm saying? If you're like everybody else, then be treated like everybody else. Okay? But you want it both ways. You want special treatment for your identity, but then guess what? Oh, I still don't want to, I don't want to be treated differently from anybody else. Make up your mind, bro. You and a lot of people in the Alphabet Army in New Jersey want to have it both ways. And of course, like I said, 2 days from now, we're going to see the insufferable power list where we got a bunch of people pretending to be bisexual, probably, or this person's trans, or this person's a lesbian, or whatever. It's just insufferable. Okay? It really, really is. Okay? There's a lot, I get it. There's a lot of reasons to dislike Fernando Uribe, but me being straight isn't one of them. And I get it. I'm never going to feel that backlash. Okay? But I don't feel the need to rub my straightness in anybody's face. Okay? Do I need to be publishing photos every single time of all the women I go out with? Of course not. I don't need to do that. Okay? I'm secure in who I am. I don't need to sort of reinforce or shove it down your throat about me being straight. I don't think the other side has to either. But again, you just want that shoved down people's throats. And guess what? If we just have a little bit of resistance to it, that's when you get all bent out of shape. Jay, you can't have it both ways, bro. Okay? And of course, he talks about the raucous Board of Education meeting in Roxbury, New Jersey, right? Again, you can check out all the other articles here talking about, for example, one of the quotes you mentioned here, 40% of homeless youth are LGBTQ kids who were thrown out of their homes and rejected by their families. Requiring schools to out kids will only make the problem worse and could cost lives. Spoiler, it will cost lives. Jay, high school kids die every year. And it's unfortunate and it's tragic. And bullying happens to straight kids and to LGBTQ kids. Okay? Stop making it seem like the problem's bigger than it really is. It really isn't. Okay? For example, also obviously Miss Williams, who's a Trenton councilwoman, is the first transgender municipal lawmaker in New Jersey, I guess going to the Roxbury Board of Ed meeting. Talking about coming out as a personal decision for every LGBTQ person, just as accepting and affirming them is a decision of every non-LGBTQ person they encounter in life, especially those non-LGBTQ people in power over the mechanisms of government and our schools. Jay, again, folks, I'm not going to read it. But what was really interesting was the comments section here, because I think it really, emphasizes how just blatantly dishonest Insider NJ continues to be, and how, quite frankly, they're just happy being a propaganda machine for the left here in the state. Here's a good one, right? This is a community issue that is being framed as partisan politics. Insider NJ should provide the book excerpts and let the public understand the community issues. By not doing so, Insider NJ does a disservice to its readership. Really? Water, wet, sky, blue. They're doing a disservice to readership every day. It's nothing new with Insider NJ. After all these articles, Insider NJ should not hide the books and graphics. If Insider NJ is interested in healthy and successful communities and not merely viewer eyeballs generated by dangling partisan red meat, air this issue objectively. Let the readership see if a child's library experience has been turned into that of visiting an adult bookstore, which it has been. Jay won't tell you that because Jay would rather virtue signal. List the books in question and provide some of the salacious page graphics. Folks, this comment says it perfectly. But Insider NJ won't do that. Jay Lasseter won't do that. Max Pizarro, if he ever got off his ass down the shore or at his house, because he never leaves the house, and bothered to do this too, would be intellectually honest. But none of them are. None of them are interested about being intellectually honest about this. And it's sad because, again, they're going around masquerading as journalists when they're not. All right? Another good comment here. This issue is not Republican versus Democrat. It relates to pornographic images in books about sexual activities. Your statements in this article are merely your opinion and are not supported by any facts, which is true. When is anything supported by facts for Jay Lasseter? You are so eager to attack individuals in your article, which he does all the time. Okay? We all know that. But you only interviewed leftists who support your viewpoint, which is true. That's all Jay does. And whose values may not reflect those of the family. You don't have any kids, Jay, thank the Lord. But if you did, maybe your opinion may be a little different. Everyone desires to safeguard individuals to the degree expected by others. I'm not overly concerned about hurting someone's emotions, but we all have the right to our own personal beliefs and opinions. As a human, it is essential to respect others and regard them with the same degree of deference that you believe you deserve. The books containing explicit language and images should be relocated to a more suitable location within the school, and prenatal permission should be required to check them out. This includes lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and heterosexual literature with inappropriate sexual content. The majority of individuals are not concerned with the printed words, but rather with the graphic nature of the books. Another great comment here. Let me see here. Where does the left come up with these statistics? Does anyone ever fact check them? Of course not, because Insider NJ doesn't care about fact checking. They don't care about facts. We know that. 40% of homeless youth are LGBTQ kids who were thrown out of their homes and rejected by the families, as Ms. Williams told Insider NJ. Requiring schools to out kids will only make the problem worse and cost lives. Where does Ms. Williams or where does Jay come up with these statistics? Give me something, Jay, other than you bloviating and spitting out hot air. Give me facts. Give me stats. But you won't do that. Again, folks, that will require Jay to have that four-syllable word, integrity, right? Which, again, folks, if his echo chamber and the minions in the lollipop guild that enable him should have a sit down and say, Jay, listen, you're doing everyone a disservice by being this blatantly, a propagandist. But that would require them to have some integrity, and we all know they don't have any, right? Some other good comments here, for example. I mean, folks, you can read the article. You can read the comments. It's amazing. But in closing, folks, this is what happens. When you decide to voice any opposition to protecting our kids in our public schools, when you voice any opposition to making sure that certain pornographic materials, because that's what they are being made available in our libraries for kids, folks, when parents who pay property taxes, and again, I know that's tough for Jay to understand because he's living off his boyfriend's income. So to pay taxes, pay property taxes, that's a foreign concept for Jay Lassiter. But for people like me, homeowners, property taxpayers, and others, yeah, it bothers us. And it bothers parents specifically in these school districts. So you know what? With their tax dollars going to school budgets, you're damn right they have every reason to voice an objection and voice any type of disagreement. For you to demonize them, Jay, as bigots and homophobes and transphobes, that's blatantly irresponsible. You should know better. Again, folks, it's like requiring Insider NJ to have any semblance of integrity by not publishing this propaganda. It's why the traffic isn't great. It's why the New Jersey Globe continues to dominate them, as well as other news sites, for example, like the Hudson County View and the great work that my boy John Hines does as the editor of of Hudson County View. And he's not even a propagandist. He's just publishing straight news. When you start walking down the rabbit hole of publishing propaganda and these insidious and insufferable opinion columns, you're going to fall into that trap of being nothing more than an enabler of left-wing politics. That's what Insider NJ has become, and there's no turning back now. You can have one conservative, if anything, on there, which you never publish. But if you want to keep publishing left-wing nonsense, you're going to have nonsense traffic, and that's what Insider NJ continues to do. And folks, it's really, really disappointing because at one point, Insider NJ was actually quite reputable. They're not reputable anymore, and we all know that. Especially someone like Jay Lassiter with the insufferable virtue signaling that we all know he's become famous for. And quite frankly, he doesn't know any better either. And that is our show for this week. Once again, folks, I want to thank Nicholas D'Agostino, Sussex County Commissioner candidate, for joining us here. Great program with him. Folks, if you're just joining us, sharing is caring. Click that share button. And make sure you share Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on all of your social media platforms. Don't forget to like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on Facebook. And of course, folks, make sure that you also like Jersey First, as well as making sure you follow them on Instagram and Twitter. And check out my own Instagram and Twitter at the Fernando Zone. Don't forget to subscribe to Jersey First on YouTube. And of course, wherever you get your podcasts, on Spotify or SoundCloud, download them from any PC, Mac, smartphone, or tablet, and take Jersey First TV with you anywhere at any time. Always remember, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot say it enough. The dream team of Garden State Media. Folks, that is right. That is all the great programming you've come to expect and rely on with Jersey First TV. Of course, folks, new episodes of The Nader Narrative, hosted by the amazing Elizabeth Nader, air every Thursday. And also new episodes of Bridging the Gap by the incredible AJ Malilo and Steve Marimbolo also air on Thursdays. And brand new episodes of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe air every Monday night. Again, we'll be back in our regularly scheduled time next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. A special programming note, folks, you may want to mark this on your calendar. U.S. Representative Jeff Van Drew will join us live next Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern time live here on Jersey First TV. Certainly, it's a conversation I'm looking forward to with one of Congress's most respected and most reputable members of the House of Representatives. So again, folks, next Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern time, U.S. Representative Jeff Van Drew will join us here on Real Talk. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid. It's always Real Talk with Jersey First TV. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top 100 Latino via the Latino Spirit Online magazine for 2020 and 2021. Certainly top 50 Latino for 2022. The weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media. And without a doubt, ladies and gentlemen, the people's choice and the people's voice. Saying so long, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in here. We'll see you next month here during the month of June. A lot to talk about as primary season heats up. And of course, a lot to talk about as politics in New Jersey never takes a break here on Jersey First TV. I'm Fernando Uribe. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Please party responsibly as we are entering the summer weeks and months. Enjoy yourselves. And as always, thank you so much for watching Real Talk right here with Jersey First TV. Have a great night, everybody.